Yeah, there's only.
Call to order the Siloam Springs Board of Directors pre-agenda meeting for April 10th, 2024. Roll call.
Blair.
Here.
Hunt. Here. Rissler.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Allen. Wiles. Smiley.
Thank you, Janae. And with that, we will move on to our pre-agenda meeting. And Alan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Just a thought, I talked to Director Smiley a couple hours ago, checking in on her. She didn't mind me sharing. Her husband had an accident. He has broke his hip, and surgery went well. He's just having a really hard time. So I told her we got it and that they're in our prayers. But I asked her if she'd mind me sharing that, and she said she did not. So just that's what she's got.
Thank you. We will remember her.
Moving on to our agenda, just skipping down to presentations. We'll be talking about Deputy Chief Brent Ford from Fire Department retiring, which, Chief, that will be next Friday. I will be out of town. Do you remember the time on that? I think it was like 11 to 1:30. Or you can let me know in a minute.
11 to 2, ceremony starts at 12:30.
Perfect, thank you. That will be our only presentation, and then consent agenda, regular meeting minutes. Thank you, Megan. She's like, you can't see, and I'm like, I know. I always have to go, so can you get these for me? Ah, that's good, I can see now. B, approve application, terminal apron, reconstruction grant supplement. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, James? Just give them kind of just a quick overview in case they have any questions.
James Harris, Community Services Manager. This is the FAA just put out a notice saying that they had discretionary funds. We applied for this last year. We did not receive it. We have it on our CIP, our capital improvement plan for the airport for this project for 2029. If we can get the funds earlier, we can get it done a little bit quicker and everything. So this is for $1 million grant application. It would be $100,000 that the city would be out for that, but it would not go until next year for the budget. So we'd be able to do everything in next year's budget for this. And it's at the airport. It's the north part of the concrete has started to sort of crumble in a few places, and this would allow us to do a reconstruction of it rather than try to just go in and do a patchwork, fix the rough areas, which is what we may end up having to do in 2029 because of funding for it. So trying to get free money from the FAA.
That's always a good thing.
Yep. Any questions on it?
Questions for James? Thank you, James. Really appreciate what James has been doing at the airport and all his hard work. So we'll skip down, go to C, Resolution 2224, setting hearing date for right-of-way vacation, 510 South College Street. Ben or Chris?
Can you hear me? So this is just to set the hearing date for the right-of-way vacation at this location. On April 1st, 2024, a petition was filed by Green Country Investments LLC to close a unused 60-foot east-west right-of-way located at the south lot of 13, Block 3 of Cranes Edition, filed for record for Plat A. With the Benton County Circuit Clerk's ex officio recorder, the right-of-way is requested to be permanently closed and is not needed for future access. I can answer any questions on that.
Any questions for Chris? Thank you, Chris. And then moving down to D, grant acceptance, Walton Family Foundation, Forestering the Future for $108,000. Travis?
Good afternoon, Board. Travis Chaney, Parks and Rec Manager. Walton Family Foundation annually gives our city and regional cities money for tree giveaways, tree plantings, and this is the allocated 2024 grant, and this would simply be this board voting to accept the grant. It supports our spring and fall tree giveaway. The other big project this year will be some large caliper trees out at City Lake. And any questions you have, I'm happy to answer.
Down to ordinances. First one is E, ordinance 24-07, third reading, vacation of utility easement, the 21,000 block of Davidson Road.
There's been no changes to this since the first reading, and staff can answer any additional questions if there are any.
Questions there? Not moving on to F. It'd be the second reading, 24-08, amending city municipal code, section 8241. Before Jason speaks, board, I put a couple pieces of paper, or Ms. Barbara did, in front of you. And what you're looking at is on, I think it was December, the first one you see with the red writing on it, which would be the proposed code amendments. That is what we've been going off of. Okay, mine is the one in red, yours is underlined, Barbara reminded me. I just want to show you that's what we've been going off. When we started from our last meeting, from the first reading, there was actually an ordinance passed to remove the CPI on December 7th, 2021. After looking into it, that was never placed into effect. So we have been going off an old ordinance, which I've gotten with legal. We haven't had a CPI increase because we remember that you voted not to do it, but to understand that we had an ordinance in place that just wasn't put into effect. So I have made that correction. But again, we went back and Janae found we had made that, or that was passed, and it is in effect now. One of the things to understand about CPI, and Ms. Christina may come up and talk about this briefly if you have questions, since we took CPI out, we have had no increases in 3 years. Just the loss of CPI is $12 million the city has lost that we've had to find other ways to pay for things. So again, if you have questions. So again, the way I'm looking at this ordinance, there would be no CPI revisited in 2026. But it's something to discuss as we move forward. Questions? Okay. So again, I just wanted you to have this correction. This is where we are, and this came from Director Allen's. And I just did some research, and this is what we found. And one more thing, Jason, before you start. Also, it was brought to my attention probably just about an hour ago. I didn't see the Herald Leader, and Megan has reached out to Mark. It was put in the paper that we had increased we were trying to increase rates for, I think, our residential, and it's in the paper. That is not true. So we have spoken, and we'll try to get that corrected.
Yeah. Jason Davis, Public Service Director. I'll kind of give you what we found on that real quick. In the ordinance, when it was placed, I think in 2020 or 2015, I'm not sure. Anyway, it says 1548, okay? When we had the CPI increase, that went up into 1750, but in the ordinance, it still states at 1548. So that's where that number came from. 1750 is actually what everybody's paying right now. So that's for a 64-gallon, and that's what an apartment rate is 1750. So just to clean that up and clarify, that's where that number is.
But Jason, isn't true. There's not an apartment. When you hear us say apartment rate, there's not an apartment rate in the ordinance. It doesn't say apartment rate.
Right. So that brings me to my next thing. Ms. Janae found this in 1519, ordinance 1519 is where it states the commercial usage. So when I bring this back to you, I'm going to have that ordinance in here with this packet so we can get that cleaned up and it's all the same. So, does anybody have any questions, comments?
I know I had to step out for just a minute, and I apologize for that, but I feel like I missed something really important. Is there something that we're supposed to be looking at that you're talking, all I see, you're referring to some ordinance 15 something. All I see is ordinance 2123.
Yeah, I like I said, Ms. Janae just found this for me a little bit ago.
Let me kind of clear that up. what it is, and we can make you copies of that. Ms. Janae was doing some research, because of the way the staff report, it's more of a Scrivener's error. Way the staff,
Which staff report are we talking about?
we are looking at the rate increase in the packet.
Oh, okay, gotcha, sorry. I just totally missed that.
Right, so in your packet, it talks about the rate increase, where it talks about
And
the
we're still only
ordinance
talking about for
2216.
sanitation.
Correct.
Okay.
We thought that was the ordinance, but as Janae did research, we found out there was also another ordinance that has more of these rates in it. So we're going to have to correct the staff report to add both ordinances.
Okay.
That
And,
makes sense?
and again, we are not looking to increase any residential rate. And we're not looking to increase any apartment rate. This is just commercial and extra bag charges. That's it.
Right, so the ordinance we'll be adding to that's ordinance number 15-19. You see that on there. We'll also go with the 2216, but I'll get that cleaned up the next day. Again, this is something we were in my office just a little while ago trying to make corrections that we found.
Does anybody have any questions?
Anything else, everything has been changed, the CPI has been removed, and everything has been updated in your packet.
Correct.
Is there any other questions about rates?
All right.
Hey, thank you, Jason. Ordinance number 24-09, second reading, amending municipal code, chapter 102, short-term rentals. Ben?
Can you hear me? Yeah, this is just the second reading. Staff is still recommending approval. Once again, this is amending the zoning codes to take out short-term rentals out of zoning and basically apply them with the business license only.
And then moving on to ordinance I, ordinance 24-11, second reading, annexation of 1.25 acres, 23790 Sycamore Heights Road.
I just might remind the board that ordinance 24-10 and 24-11 are the two ordinances that we had a request to do second and third reading at this next regular meeting, so kind of have that in the back of your mind whenever we get ready.
Which staff and I have talked, we have no issues with that. Correct.
I believe you called out 24-11. That was the annexation of the 1.25 acres. That is the Orcutt property. This was just to get utilities to her property. This is the second reading, no changes since the first reading, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Chris? Hey, jumping back, Janae, did I miss anything on that? I know we had several conversations, and I saw you looking this way. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. You've done a lot of research on this.
Oh, you missed H.
We're good? All right. All right, then moving on to staff reports. We'll have first quarter nonprofit reports from the History Museum, Main Street Siloam Springs, and the Chamber of Commerce.
Alan,
I'm sorry.
I think what Janae was referring to is
Did I call you Renee?
page 10 about the vacation of utility easement on the North Simon Sager. We did not mention that and ask for questions on that. Item H, 2410.
Oh, I apologize. Let me jump up to ordinance. Thank you, keeping me straight, Mayor. 24-10, second reading. Sorry, Chris, that's why you had that look on there, because I messed up.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So this was a part of the Stubb Street project that originally the board had approved, a Stubb Street project, and on that original plat, it had said that this portion of the vacation of a utility easement would be with a future instrument. This is that future instrument. It is the vacation of that utility easement. The purpose of the request for the combination of the second and third reading is so they can move forward with a retail establishment that is trying to go through the review process. And staff can answer any additional questions.
Any questions? All right, now I'm ready to move on to our staff reports where Ms. Stacy's here if you had any questions for her, but they'll be just given their reports. I've reviewed them, and they should all be in your packets. Everything looks very good. So, any questions there?
Miss
Then-
Mary's here too.
Oh, hey, Miss Mary, I'm sorry to see you over there. They're both here for questions. I'm just on my
hiding in the
A
corner.
game today, aren't I? You guys keep me straight. And then, of course, it'll be February financials, administrators report, and pretty straightforward agenda. Just please keep in mind that I will not be here next week, but you are in great hands with Miss Christina, will be the acting next week, so she'll be here. So if you do have questions, I will be here all week, and if it's something, please reach out to Miss Christina through phone call or email if you have questions for her, where she can be prepared for answers for you. And of course, staff is here to try to answer any questions from here to the time of agenda. The board meeting would be happy to answer any questions at all for you. Jason, do you want to give an update on this real quick?
So, as many of you may have noticed, we've been really trying to clean up around Progress and Cherry Whitlock. Is it Progress? Is that right? Progress Talcott. Anyway, we've been really, really working hard trying to clean up that brush. We put out that we'll start collecting brush at the sanitation department for the residents, and we've had several come in, so that's been really successful. I'm glad that they're bringing it to us now instead of finding a place to get rid of it. So I just want to let everybody know that that's working really, really well for us. We've had probably 3 a day so far in the last couple of days, so, and we're just getting started. So it's really good to see the residents bring their brush to us now, so.
So are we still picking up the brush? Or
Yes, ma'am.
have we
Yes.
discontinued that? Okay.
Yes, yes. It's just, people dropping it off different places. They're just bringing it to us now. So it's been really successful in helping us out a lot instead of just finding an empty field to drop it, so.
Are they taking
We'd
it to
rather
the
have it at
transfer?
one location than it being dumped at different sites because it creates a mess and we're not there. People are dumping things they shouldn't be dumping and now we're having to clean it up and it's taking weeks to get cleaned up. So Jason would rather have it just brought to the transfer station and we'll take care of everything there.
We'll just grind it all there, and that way we'll have the mulch on site. We don't have to transport it. So just trying to streamline that process.
Your charge?
No,
Okay.
no.
But people can still put brush out in front of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this is more your people that want to get rid of it right then and there,
Okay.
type stuff. So it's been good. Like I said, we've had several bring it to us, so
People be driving through and see the brush piles and just stop and
that's what's
Dump it
been
off.
happening. Yeah.
is, I think is what happens. They have things in their truck and they just stop there and throw it out.
Yes.
Have you advertised it? I mean, or,
Yeah, we went out the other day, I think, was it Megan, did you advertise that, or? Okay, well, we put it out at the transfer station that we were doing it, so, but it's been very, very successful us doing that, so.
So I do have one more question. If they are missed on their normal week that they would, you would, do they need to call? Okay.
Yep.
And we'll make sure Miss Megan puts, she's really good at, we'll make sure things go out on social media and our website, giving everyone any changes that we make and updates on how to get rid of everything.
Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot easier. We'll just streamline everything, have it there and process it there. So, right now, I think we've got like 3 drop sites that we've been trying to work on, so we'll continue to do that, and, in the future, we'll have just the one at the shop, at the sanitation building for collection and processing.
Questions? Thank you, Jason,
Madam Mayor.
for that update.
I have a question or a comment. I was at transfer station this morning. Was not trying to do any inspection or anything, just was there. But I actually could see through the building that has the cardboard. Is that all mirrors or is it actually empty?
It's empty.
Okay, that looks, wow,
Yeah, it's completely empty.
okay.
Yep.
Because last time I was there, it would have taken a mountain to get through all that, but it looked really good.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, we've been working hard on it, so appreciate it.
Whoever's doing that, they're doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jason. Just a few things. I just want to give you a quick update on Brightspeed. I get tons of calls. I mean, probably 2 or 3 a day that people are digging up my front yard. They're in, the easement. Chris and I had a conference call with them yesterday. They're keeping us to date. They do. We don't have a lot of leeway. They're in the easement. They're allowed to do it. We just have to be patient as they finish up the job, and they're supposed to be putting everything back the way it was before they tore it up. Chris, any update on that or your conversation?
And I would kind of amend what you had just said. They put it back to a certain point. For example, we can't require them to meet certain thresholds. If they do certain activities, for example, if they trench, they would go back and they would meet the requirements. They would do anything that would meet the requirements. So for us, it would meet our stormwater requirements, but as far as beyond that, it's within their easement. I know that there's been some concerns about people potentially losing sod. There's been some paint on some river rock that was in some people's backyards. The spray markings actually come from Arkansas One Call. Arkansas One Call is a state program. It is not. It is a requirement by state law for before any digging can occur. That they receive markings in the area that changes based off of the type of utility as far as the distance from the area that is going to include the digging. That's why one of the common questions I get is, they're digging 1,000 feet over there. Why am I still getting markings? It's based off of what type of utility line is it. If it's a higher pressure gas line, obviously they'll go a little bit further than if it's a smaller utility. But whenever they're working within their easement, we have very limited authority of what we can do as far as the city's concerned to enforce having them replace sod. Usually it's pretty common that they would seed and mulch back over those types of locations, and we have very limited authority of what we can require them to do whenever they're doing work in a utility. They don't have to get a permit. They don't have to do notifications through the city. They have access to those utility easements. We did have citizens that threaten to lock and have locked their fences. I would caution on that. If you lock a fence and try to prohibit access to utility easement to a utility company, they do have the ability to remove that fence. They do not have an obligation to replace that fence. So,
Right, and that's, we catch that, but again, it's state law. It's what they're required. We can't stop. I get complaints, hey, they put spray paint on my grass. My thing is, if we don't get out and locate as quick as we can, Steve and Phil can both tell you, we've had a lot of damage to our utilities and our water lines, and I had Director Rissler call me and say, hey, Alan, I hate to bother you, but smell gas. She reported it before I even knew about it, and then it wasn't, I called Steve about 15 minutes later. We had a gas leak that took all day and night to get fixed. So again, I would rather spray paint and find the locates before people go without electricity and go without water and they have gas damage and different things like that. So again, we just have to be patient.
yeah, they have been very pleasant to work with on our end. So it's my recommendation that if a property owner does have an experience where their landscaping is disrupted, that they just reach back out to Brightspeed or whoever that utility company is and talk to them, and usually they'll work with them and try to come up with a solution. As far as fences, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've only seen one instance where a fence was removed and not replaced, and that was because someone had blocked a fire line, a fire hydrant access. Usually they will work with you. Most of the more experienced people that mark the yards will try to knock on the door, because in a lot of those backyards, there's pretty large dogs. But some of the younger guys, they know that they're not required to knock on the front door, so they'll go back there and they'll spray paint the backyard, and they're not required to notify that property owner. Sometimes they'll even knock on the door, and that property owner may not be home, so they'll just go back there and do it anyways. But
And sometimes these locates come in so late, these guys are running it, trying to get it located before they get out there. So they do a really good job, and we try to always be professional and let people know if we're in their yard, but sometimes it gets really busy and we're just trying to get all this marked because there's a lot to do before they get out there. But they have been really good to work with and talk to, so I'm excited.
I have a concern that, about them not notifying, because a gas leak it was pretty major. It wasn't a small, it was strong. There was almost a fight because they were trying to keep a lady from going to her home, not explaining it to her. I mean, should they not have to notify? That's pretty,
They should, Steve can probably tell you, and so can Phil. I mean, that's something, if they cause damage to some of our lines, notify us immediately. And I think you just happened to drive back there when it happened and called, and I think they were out there within probably 20 minutes, because that's a real dangerous situation. That'll make Dustin over there start going up.
yeah, that's what was my concern, that there was the police and fire, or nobody was, 911 wasn't called, nothing. I mean, and it was strong.
It takes a few minutes. Sometimes they call trying to figure out who to call, and by the time it gets to us and dispatch where it needs to go. But it hasn't been an issue. That's just one that I remember because it wasn't long ago. So, but hey, I appreciate everybody working together. Any other questions about that? Then I just wanted to brag on Megan a little bit. Staff and I were able to go out to the eclipse, and what a fantastic job she did, the ones that were able. I would guess there were well over 1,000 people, and gosh, there were kids running everywhere. She told me that the one church at Free Ice Cream gave out 600 bars of ice cream. I think that was correct, Megan, something like that. James and his staff, I mean, it was a group effort. She kind of ramrodded it, but James and I saw the police department, fire department, because I felt so terrible, Chief. I said, when I first got there, they had to go over there and render aid to an elderly couple, and they came all the way like 5 states to see the eclipse, and she tripped and fell and had to go to the hospital, and I think she missed it, so I felt terrible. But I think it was an issue with her blood pressure or something like that. But just a total team effort with everybody. Did you get your numbers back, Megan? Did we get the numbers back for the ping on the phones? Not yet. But hopefully by Tuesday, we can get you an accurate number. We should have that data pretty soon. But it was a fun event. I enjoyed myself. And the food vendors sold out of food. I think all the food vendors that came. But it was quite an event. So really excited about that.
Did we happen to hear from, or did we contact any of the radio or the TV stations about our event going on?
Thanks, Megan. Just kind of give us a quick update, if you don't mind.
Yes, we went out to local media, but since we weren't 100% totality, like KWNA, they were in the bigger cities, so they didn't come. We had our local newspaper there, and we made the front page.
Well, and the reason I ask is because they were showing on KNWA some of the town, like Bentonville and, Fayetteville, and I don't believe they were I don't think theirs was any greater than ours as far as what the totality went. And I thought, going back to the old days, whenever Moose was here, that was always a pet peeve of his, that the or the TV stations would manage to get to these other cities, but we were doing the same thing. We were having bigger crowds and doing maybe more than what they were, and yet we were never acknowledged for that. So I think I would encourage you, because I have seen that done, and, they'll respond if you're the squeaky wheel.
Right, and Megan
So-
said she has an email list that we have everybody on there, and we send blurbs out to them, hey, we're doing this, and
Yeah, well,
sometimes they just,
an email gets ignored. A phone call, yeah,
I'm on text with a lot of them. I'll make Yahoo News on that, so I was pretty excited.
good. Good job.
Thank you.
yep, and thank you for the reminder, thank you, Megan, that we will be doing the question brief on that.
Sure. So tomorrow night is the interactive town hall meeting. It begins at 4:30 and it goes until 7. We'll have various department heads and city officials present. The check-in will be just outside of these doors, and we will have easels that will be set up in this room. We'll have this room set up to accommodate and be prepared for a rotating audience that'll come through and be able to ask staff questions. There will be a couple of interactive activities for them to participate with. One of our easels, for example, will have a push pin, so people will be able to identify where they're located in the area, and to try to determine if they are in favor or against, or if they are undecided. And we'll be really looking to collect data and provide that information once we have our second information meeting, which is going to be later on this month. But the one for tomorrow night is going to be, it's expected to have quite a few people show up, and I think that the benefit of that is that we're just going to be getting that feedback from the people that come here, and that's our primary objective, is to record that data and try to get that feedback back to the board.
We'll also have a handout that give to the participants, and we'll try to get enough copies. It will have a map of the annexation area, a breakdown of the general benefits of annexation, why the city is considering annexation, who gets to decide on annexation, and then we'll also have a breakout of the property taxes and how they would potentially go up based off of the valuation of their property, because I know it's a common question that we get. And yeah, it'll be interactive there. In addition to the push pins, which will be 3 colors, green, yellow, or red, depending on what their position is on the annexation. They'll also have a place to do index cards with questions. So if there's any question that we can't answer as a staff, for whatever reason, they can provide that question on an index card with their name and phone number or email, and we'll get back to them as best as we can. Or if they just have general comments about the annexation, they can do that as well. So.
And Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just as one additional note, I believe each of the board members have received an updated copy. It's version 1.2 of the annexation timeline. That's our kind of living document. I know that this is, I believe, the 3rd version. There are some changes to some of the dates that are associated with have already passed. You can see that there was the April 11th date on there. April 23rd is the community roundtable meeting. Then we have May 1st is intended to be an additional workshop meeting. That would move forward. That's where the changes to the previous timeline. So if you do have one of the previous timelines, this does replace that, and you can probably pay special attention to those dates in that general area of your annexation timeline.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. And last thing that I have on my notes is just want to brag on the golf course a little bit. This last weekend, Brian with Maxim Golf will be coming next month to give us an update. But the greens opened. We are trying to do a ribbon cutting. Did we ever get a date on that, Megan? I'm sorry.
The ribbon cutting will be April 25th. I'm meeting with Corey on Friday to go over details, so we'll get a graphic out that day too.
Yeah,
Is the 25th, oh, it is going to be on a Thursday then? Okay, because I noticed we got the invitation to the WOCA opening on that Friday, I think.
Yes, it was
Right.
originally planned, but we changed it.
and we were shooting for Friday, but with the Woka grand opening with the
And
Dogwood Festival, we just thought we'd move it to that Thursday. And what we're hoping to do is maybe have some hot dogs, hamburgers. We just, I think Brian was talking about being a member for the day and giving some free passes for golf and just different things, just to let people see how good it's looking out there. We still have work to do. Cliff and his staff have been amazing. We have new bathrooms. They were completely renovated, and I think, Chris, do you know if they're done yet? I know they're really close.
So they are coming very close. They did get the lobby open at the courts. There are several parts of that project that are still under construction. So we will hopefully be done by that time, the timeline, and we're looking close to the end of this month where that project will be wrapping up.
So we'll get you information out, and if you can make it, I'd love to see you, and we, get a golf cart, kind of show you around. One of the things that, this past weekend was one of the the busiest weekends since Maxim Golf has taken over, and I'm hearing one of the most profitable. Yeah, it was just nonstop all weekend, so I'm really excited to watch the growth. They're out there working every day to give us the best 9-hole golf course possible, so I'm excited for the future of the golf course right now. Knock on wood, it seems to be going well. Any questions there? Staff, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ms. Lisa.
I do have a question. I got a call, I've gotten a couple of calls. So Maxim decides the rates for the golf course, or kind of like the kayak part. Do we decide the rate? Do we vote on that? I guess there was a rate change, and there was, I got a couple of calls because they said the city paid $70,000, and now there's a rate increase, and they were just curious why, when their tax dollars just paid for.
That's
and
not something that we would be involved, but I'll get an update on that. I don't recall, to be
Sorry,
honest with you.
yeah, I'm glad you said something, because
I'll check into it.
Okay.
And be happy to. And what I can do is let Ms. Christina know, and she can report it next week. But I remember Brian talking to me about something,
But we don't vote on
it is,
those.
it is pretty, we're a lot cheaper than other places, so I'll just have to talk with Brian to see exactly what we've done,
Okay.
do that. Does the staff have anything that they need to let the board know or address or anything like that? You think, Chris?
I just want to correct that. I apologize, I'm mixing my projects up. I was referring to the district court project. The district court project lobby is back open.
I was going with it. I didn't know, I thought, wow, they built a lobby out there.
The district court project is actually scheduled to finish up by the end of this month, and I can get additional information on the golf course.
You guys fit a lobby in there at the golf course I didn't know about.
I hear
No.
bathrooms, there's bathrooms being built over there too, so I apologize.
Yeah. If you come by in on Monday or Tuesday, it's been very, very busy here just with court, and it's kind of helped open my eyes a little bit of what's going on at court, how busy it is. So again, hopefully things will get back to normal here. They'll be finishing up that project next couple weeks. Other than that, anything from staff? That's it. Mayor, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, sir. So, directors, I'll ask one more time if you all have anything you want to ask or comments that you have. There is not, then thank you, staff. Thank you, directors, for being here. And with that, we are adjourned.